the San Francisco Giants limp into the trade deadline, what is the best thing for them to do next? Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Soder Report. My name is Kyle Soder, and I am not in a very good mood lately, as the San Francisco Giants have been the worst team in baseball over the past 3 weeks or so. So, welcome in. Please hit the like and subscribe button. The Soder Report is sponsored by Elite Cacao Supplements. Head on over to www.elitecacao.com to order your supplements today. We have quite a bit to get to. We have the Tyler Rogers trade. We have other trade options. And then I want to get into the coaching. I want to talk about Bob Melvin. Should he be the manager of the San Francisco Giants next year? I sent out a tweet a while ago saying that he should. I'm going to reevaluate that, as well as the rest of the coaching staff, as well as the entire minor league system. And then to finish off, we're going to get to the 2026 outlook of the San Francisco Giants. So, first of all, the San Francisco Giants made a trade today. They have long been thought to be buyers, but they've lost 10 of their last 12, 2-10. And they have fallen to a game under 500, and they traded Tyler Rogers to the New York Mets today for Jose Buto. I apologize if I mispronounced that name. Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell. So, what are my thoughts on that trade? So, Tyler Rogers is on an expiring contract. He's going into free agency in just a couple of months. So, the New York Mets are getting a rental. And for that rental, the San Francisco Giants are getting Jose Buto, a guy with a 3.45 ERA. He's been a mid-inning reliever, so he hasn't been used in high-leverage situations, but he's been good for what he's done so far. They also got right fielder Drew Gilbert. Apparently, the San Francisco Giants have a knack for University of Tennessee players, because Drew Gilbert graduated from the University of Tennessee. He's a really interesting one. He's a first-round pick, and he's played center field. He's a good defender in center field. However, he's dealt with some injuries, and that has been slowing him down lately. I think he had a 3-month hamstring strain, from what I have heard. I apologize. I don't follow the New York Mets system very closely. But Drew Gilbert was the New York Mets' number 12 overall prospect in their top 30. They are number 13 in the San Francisco Giants' top 30, which I thought was interesting because when I heard we were getting the number 12 guy from the Mets organization, I thought the San Francisco Giants have a pretty weak farm system, so he might be the number 10 prospect. However, that's not the case. Turns out the Giants farm system, according to MLB Pipeline, is better than the New York Mets farm system. So, Drew Gilbert, number 12 in the Mets farm system, number 13 in the Giants farm system. The third piece of that trade that the San Francisco Giants bring back is pitcher Blade Tidwell. He was the number 10 prospect in the New York Mets organization, and he's the number 12 prospect in the Giants organization. So both Blade Tidwell and Drew Gilbert are in AAA. I believe they're both 24 years old. So they're knocking on the door of the major leagues. They could get called up to the major leagues at any time if the Giants wanted to. And it should be noted that Carson Ragsdale was just DFA'd. Carson Seymour was the number 20 prospect in the Giants MLB pipeline earlier. And he had a really good season at AAA, and that's why he has earned a role on the San Francisco Giants, at least for the short term. We'll see what they think long term, but I've heard reports that Blade Tidwell is seen by the Giants front office as a guy who can develop into a major league starter. So, all this to say, Blade Tidwell, by the way, former second-round pick. All this to say, you gave up Tyler Rogers, late-inning reliever, very good, very consistent, not necessarily dominant, but very consistent, very effective. The Mets get 3 months of Tyler Rogers, and the San Francisco Giants get Jose Buto. They get a former first-round pick in Drew Gilbert, who has fallen. He used to be a top 100 MLB prospect. He's fallen out of that. Like I said, he had injury issues. He was hitting .215 for a large portion of last year. Let me bring up his numbers for the past year. But you get a former top 100 prospect, former first-round pick, and then you get Blade Tidwell, who, according to the Giants front office, they think can be a starting pitcher one day. So let's take a look at Drew Gilbert, because I think he's the most interesting piece of this trade. So, as you can see, he's in AAA. He's 24 years old. 2025, he's actually hitting .252. And he's got 14 home runs this year. So he is having a pretty good, well, I won't say pretty good. He's having a decent year at AAA. It seems like you would hope that he takes another step, but he could get a look in the major leagues soon. Last year he hit .205. That's likely when he fell out of the top 100. And then this year, rebounding just a little bit. Wow. Okay, I get it. Okay, so I was looking at this for a second. I thought the Mets called him up from single A to triple A immediately, but he played in double A in 2023. So that's a brief overview of Drew Gilbert. Like I said, I'm not tuned into the New York Mets farm system. But this is a guy who was drafted high. He's got a lot of upside. He's got potential. It's just we have to see if Drew Gilbert can unlock that potential with the San Francisco Giants. So that's a little bit about the trade. I like the trade, by the way. I think it's a great trade. So that moves us into other people that the San Francisco Giants have to trade, because they were seen for a long time as buyers at the deadline. However, that's not the case anymore. They just sold one of their relievers. So there's a lot of people saying that that this doesn't necessarily make them sellers, but I think it should. I don't think that the San Francisco Giants are in the race for the third wild card anymore. I think they're out of it at this point. For those of you who have watched my videos before, I predicted this team to win 78 games. And for a lot of the season, that wasn't looking very good. Now that's looking spot on. So, I think that they should continue to sell. I would love for Mike Yastrzemski to just be off the team. He's an automatic out every time he comes to the plate. It's obvious that his defense has declined. I've been an advocate of playing Luis Matos every day because you don't know what you have in him, and you won't know what you have in him unless he plays every day. The San Francisco Giants seem to not believe in me, so I think Matos is going to end up on a team like the Pirates or the Rays, and it's possible that if he hits his ceiling, he could hit 290, 300, and be an all-star somewhere. So we'll see. We'll see what they do, but I would just like to see Yaz out of here. He's a below-average player. Just get him out. Call up Drew Gilbert. Call up Grant McCray. Call up Wade Meckler. Whatever. Is my internet working? I think my internet's working now. Okay, I think we're okay. But what I was saying was get Mike Yastrzemski out of here. He's not Carl. Get him out. He's 34, no future with the San Francisco Giants. Get him out. He's not a great defender anymore. He's not even a below average hitter. He's an awful hitter. He can't hit anything. He's bringing nothing to the team. He's got no future. You're not developing him. Just get him out. If it's not Matos, bring up McCray. Bring up Meckler. Whatever. Just move off of this guy with no future who is a net zero on your team. You're not in the race anymore, so you might as well trade him, DFA him, cut him, whatever. Just get him out. Flores is better. He's a good hitter when he's used sparingly. If he's used every day, then he falls off. But I think your best trade piece is Camilo Doval. I think that's who would bring back the most value. So, hopefully, I think Camilo Doval is the best reliever on the trade market right now. Emmanuel Clase is dealing with some off-field issues. The other Cleveland Guardians reliever just got moved. I think Camilo Doval is the best available reliever. And with the package you just got for Tyler Rogers, I wonder what you could get for Camilo Doval. Now, I said Camilo Doval is the best trade piece. He's not the best trade piece. The best trade piece would be Logan Weber Eldridge, but I don't think you move them. I don't think you move Ray either. I think Ray would bring back a ton of value. I've seen a lot of people saying to move off of him. I want to keep him, and I'll explain why I want to keep Robbie Ray a little bit later. But I'm going to get to the coaching first. I want to talk about the coaching because during this losing streak, the Giants have made a lot of mental mistakes. Heliot Ramos not knowing what an infield fly rule is. Ryan Walker throwing to second when the runner at first is stealing instead of throwing home to keep the game tied in extra innings. Heliot Ramos misplaying fly balls. Lobbing a ball 20 feet over Willy Adames' head. The mental mistakes go on and on. Jung Hoo Lee not knowing how to slide, whatever. The mental mistakes go on and on and on. And people have talked about the coaching. I want to bring a little bit of a different point of view to it. Most people have talked about Bob Melvin and Heliot Ramos. Like, Heliot Ramos should know better. Absolutely, that's true. Bob Melvin should do something. Absolutely, that's true. However, Heliot Ramos, drafted by the San Francisco Giants in the first round as a 17-year-old, played in the Dominican Summer League, played in the Arizona Complex League, played in low A ball, played in A ball, played in high A ball, played in double A, played in triple A, and now playing in the major leagues. How does he not know? How can he not play a fly ball? How can he not run the bases? How can he not make a simple throw? How does he not know? Did, out of the DSL manager, the ACL manager, the low A manager, the A manager, the high A manager, the double A manager, the triple A manager, and Bob Melvin and any other coaches on the major league staff, did none of them teach Heliot Ramos what an infield fly rule is, or how to run the bases, or whatever? Did none of those guys teach Ryan Walker what to do if you're in an extra inning game and there's a guy running home? What kind of coaching is going on in our farm system? It has to be concerning. It has to concern all of us, because it's completely unacceptable that this is going on. And you can't move off of Ramos. He's probably your best hitter right now. And if he hits, he plays. I don't care what anyone says. If he hits, then he plays. Maybe you bench him for the rest of a game after he lobs a ball over Adames' head. Maybe you bench him for a game, give him a day off. But if he hits, he plays. Yes, Willy Adames is the best hitter right now. But overall on the season, Heliot Ramos has been your best hitter. So he is not going anywhere. He's not getting traded. He stays because the Giants' offense is already putrid. So what's going on the coaching? What's happening? I think I didn't plan on bringing this up, but Kyle Haynes did an interview with someone, I forget who it was, and he talked about Luis Matos and Grant McRae. And he said that they're working on a two-strike approach with Grant McRae, who is striking out 30% of the time. And they're working on getting Luis Matos to use the entire field. Now, when you watch Luis Matos' at-bats, I love the guy. I have declared myself the emperor, chief, and president of his fan club. However, when he's coming up to the plate, does he look like he's trying to use the entire field? Because in my opinion, I don't think he looks like he's trying to use the entire field. I think he's trying to hit a ball over the left field fence every at-bat. And I think that's why he has struggled the past couple years, because he's been doing that for a couple years. In his rookie season, he was willing to spray the ball around the field. He only hit 250, but he was 21. And if a 21-year-old is doing that, you project him to improve and be something like a 290 or 300 hitter. But Matos is not doing what his coaches are telling him to do. Is that because he's uncoachable? I don't know. Is that because Kyle Haynes does not have the respect of the players? Does Bob Melvin have the respect of the players? I don't know. I'm 23 years old. Luis Matos is 23 years old. When I play slow pitch softball on Wednesdays for fun, I sometimes tell my teammates to use the entire field, but when I go up, I try to pull one over the left field fence. So it's what a 23-year-old does, I guess. But jokes aside, Luis Matos has to be coachable. Haynes needs to get the respect of the prospects in his farm system. And the prospects in the farm system need to respect the coaching. They need to be coachable. But I think it's worth taking a long look at the entire coaching staff. Apart from the pitching coach, everyone else should be looked at. They just picked up Bob Melvin's option. I don't think that should stop them from firing him in the off season. Now, I said a couple weeks ago. Okay, let me rewind a little bit here. The San Francisco Giants are at the beginning of the season, the San Francisco Giants were the fourth youngest team in Major League Baseball. Bob Melvin is one of the oldest managers in Major League Baseball. I thought that was a good mix. I thought that the young players on the San Francisco Giants would benefit greatly from learning from a guy like Bob Melvin. I thought they would learn a lot faster under an old manager rather than under a young manager. Now, I have always said that I don't expect the Giants to win a World Series championship with Bob Melvin. I don't think that's going to happen. But if Bob Melvin could develop the players and coach them into major league players, then I think he would have done a good job. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It looks like young players are taking steps back with Bob Melvin. So if he got fired in the offseason, I wouldn't be upset. So, with all the negativity on this show, let's get to the 2026 outlook. So, I've said it many times. I've said it already once on this show. I expected this team to win about 98 games. I put that in as my prediction. They're trending that way. However, before the season started, I made that prediction because I thought it was fair to Buster Posey and Zach Manassian in their first year. It's the first year of a new regime, so you have to consider that when you are setting expectations for a major league roster. So, they're in their first year. playoffs is not a fair expectation. But they have to. I said that they needed to show progress in the organization. They needed to strengthen the farm system. They needed to develop some of their 4A players into bona fide major league starters. And they needed to build toward 2026. And if they did that, then I would consider the season a success. Now, given the spot they were in just a month ago, it's... Look, I consider this season a success based off of that expectation that I set in the offseason. They actually exceeded my expectations for progress. They strengthened the farm system by signing the number one international prospect, Josué de Jesus Gonzalez. They had, I don't know if I'll call it a strong draft. They had an okay draft. And they're starting to sell off some of their old pieces for good prospects in return. So I would say that the farm system is much improved right now. We saw Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell are not as high in the Giant system as they are in the Mets system. So they're not the worst. They're not the worst farm system in baseball anymore like they were when Posey came into the organization. So that's a positive. I think that some of their minor league stars have taken a step forward. And by that I mean players like Bryce Eldridge, players like Bo Davidson, Dakota Jordan. I'm blanking on the guy they got in the Alex Cobb trade. I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's solidified himself as a good prospect. So I think that their farm system is much improved. Now, the Major League roster. I was hoping that they would turn the keys over from Mike Yastrzemski to Luis Matos. That didn't happen. I was hoping that Tyler Fitzgerald would emerge. He didn't, but Casey Schmidt did. He's taken over that second base position. I was hoping that they would be able to band-aid first base until Bryce Eldridge got back, or got up to the major leagues next year. I didn't expect him this year, but looks like he might make it this year. But they went out and traded for Rafael Devers. So, of course, that's a great move. So, I think in 2026, their roster looks really good, and that's why I don't want to trade Robbie Ray. Because, in my opinion, you are a number 3 starter and a right fielder away from being a playoff team. And I would prefer that right fielder is a leadoff hitter. So let me propose this, and you guys can tell me what you think in the comments below. But let's say that in the offseason, the Giants went out and signed some right fielder with good contact skills, hit for a high batting average, stole a lot of bases, played good defense, whatever. Like prototypical leadoff guy in right field. And then following him, you have Heliot Ramos as a DH. I'll say Heliot Ramos is the DH batting second. Rafael Devers at first base batting third. Willy Adames at shortstop batting fourth. Bryce Eldridge in left field. That's right, I said Bryce Eldridge in left field batting fifth. Matt Chapman at third base batting sixth. Jung-Hoo Lee in center field, batting 7th. Casey Schmidt at second base, batting 8th. Patrick Bailey behind the plate, catching at 9th. And then your pitching rotation, let's say you have Logan Webb as your ace, Robbie Ray as your number 2. Name free agent third pitcher, just an average arm, I guess. Landon Roop, 4th in your rotation, and Hayden Birdsong, 5th in your rotation. Or if you prefer Wizenhunt, like really out of Birdsong, Wizenhunt, Seymour, and even you can throw in Blade Tidwell as just someone to take that 5th starter spot. How do you guys feel about that starting roster and that rotation? I personally feel pretty good about it. I think that is a playoff roster. Now, the depth, you would wish that you had a little more depth, because if injuries happen to those guys, you're going to have quite a bit of fall off. So, let me come back to Bryce Eldridge in left field. Why do I say Bryce Eldridge in left field? There's a lot that I need to unpack here. I don't think that Rafael Devers comes over to the Giants, learns first base so that he can play first base for 2 months, and then DH for the remainder of his 7 years as a Giant. I don't think that happens. And Rafael Devers has said that he feels more comfortable when he's on the field. So he wants to play first base. So the Giants are going to take the offseason and teach him first base. He obviously looks like a guy that hasn't been there before. He's going to be fine. But what does that do to Bryce Eldridge? Well, he's a first baseman, so that would put Rafael Devers in his way. So he's not going to get playing time over Rafael Devers. If Rafael Devers wants to play first, Rafael Devers plays first. That's it. You could put him at DH. I personally don't think you want a 21-year-old just DHing. I think that's a waste of athleticism, personally. Bryce Eldridge played outfield in high school. That was not a very long time ago. That was only 2 years ago that he was playing the outfield. He was also a pitcher with a second-round grade on his arm, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Not happening, by the way. But he played outfield in high school, and he said in spring training that he would be comfortable with playing the outfield. And that he thought it would be fun to do. So, I think the Giants should, from now until mid-September when the AAA season ends, I don't think you should call up Bryce Eldridge early. I think he should get as many at-bats in AAA as he can. I don't want him to get rushed out of AAA like Hayden Birdsong and Patrick Bailey were. We've seen how that has stunted their development. So let him stay in AAA for as long as he can. Once the AAA season ends, get 2 weeks to see big league pitching. From now until the end of the AAA season. End of AAA season. One day he's playing first base. Next day he's playing left field. First base, left field, alternated. till the end of the season. Oh, over the off season, get him a bunch of reps in left field. And then, hopefully, next season, start him out in AAA again. Don't rush him to the opening day roster just because he had a good spring training, if he does. Let him get some more run at AAA. Get all the at-bats he needs. And then when he's ready, bring him up to the major leagues. Put him in left field. That's your lineup. So let me know what you think of that lineup. I had the right fielder, prototypical leadoff guy, whoever you want to say. Ramos at DH, Devers at first, Adames at short, Eldridge in left, Chapman at third, Lee in center, Schmidt at second, Bailey catching. Let me know what you think of that starting 9. I think it's really good. I think it's one that will make the playoffs in 2026. And I think it's one that should be expected to, by the way. This year, like I said, it's tough to expect Posey and Manassian to turn everything around in one off season and one trade deadline. But you give them 2 off seasons, you give them a draft, you give them 2 trade deadlines. I think they should be expected to make the playoffs next year. I think that's a fair expectation. And then, hopefully, this team is contending for a World Series year in, year out by 2028. Let me know what you think of that roster. Let me know what you think of the coaching. What needs to be done about these mental errors and basic mistakes? And please hit the like and subscribe. My name's Kyle Soder from the Soder Report. Thank you very much. You all